What's up, my witches? Welcome back to my channel. I am the City Witch, and today we're going to be reviewing this book called How to Live with Dragons, A Dragon Path Guide to Healing, Empowerment and Adventure by Caroline Mitchell. Now, I have to say, guys, one of the things that I love about this book is the front cover. Check out that beautiful dragon on the front of this book. I think that is gorgeous, absolutely beautiful artwork. And if that is to you, screaming dragon energy, and it's something that you find beautiful, appealing, and you are drawn to this style of art, you're probably going to love the fact that this author has a matching oracle deck. So it's called Dragon Path Oracle Cards by Caroline Mitchell. Here is the back. If you want to pause and read, please do so. And just to show you some of the cards, here is the deck. Now, I do already have a full unboxing and flip through of this deck on my channel. So if you want to see every single card and my thoughts and opinions, then please go ahead and look up that video. There are also other videos on YouTube that you can watch that will walk you through this deck if you would rather watch someone else's review, which is completely fine, guys. So just to show you some of the artwork, and this will give you an idea if you would like to purchase this deck alongside this book and use it as a tool to help you connect with dragons, their energy, and just kind of work some meditations and visualizations with them and commune with them, and also get some insight from them by asking questions. And this honestly is one of my all-time favorite dragon decks. I work with it quite regular, especially when I'm doing dragon magic. So yeah, just wanted to let you know there is also a matching deck. Now let's take a look at the book. So we'll start by reading the back. Dragons are spiritual warriors of the earth. Harness their energy for empowerment and adventure. As energetic beings, dragons are part of the fabric of the universe. Like angels, they work with the other realms to support and guide us. In this essential guide, Caroline Mitchell distills over 2 decades of hard-won experience to help you get the most from your dragon encounters. You will discover what dragons are and how to prepare for your dragon work, meditations, visualizations, chakra work, and journaling techniques for connecting with your personal dragons, advanced level dragon work to help you become a spiritual warrior of the earth, direct insights channeled from the dragons about themselves and the nature of the universe. Use the wisdom of the dragons to embark on your own journey of self-discovery to find your uniqueness, your power, and your truth. There is also some information about the author, which says Caroline Mitchell, known as the original Dragon Lady, is the dragon healing master who has worked with dragons for over 20 years. Find out more at www.carolinemitchell.info. So there we go, guys. So let's have a look inside the book. So this book was published in 2022. I purchased and read this book in January 2024, so it had already been on the market for 2 years at that point. The Oracle deck was published in 2017, so it had been on the market for a lot longer. So I honestly think what had happened is the popularity of the Oracle deck meant that Caroline Mitchell was getting a lot of attention and probably getting a lot of people writing into her saying, hey, why don't you write a book? I really think I would adore a book from you about dragon magic. And then we got this book. So the book itself is an introduction to working with dragons, and it's divided into 2 parts. So you have part 1, Live with Dragons, and part 2, Spiritual Warriors of Earth. You get an absolutely fantastic, lovely introduction from Caroline Mitchell that just kind of walks you through her experiences as a draconic practitioner and how she connected with dragons, and just lovely little stories about her experiences, which I personally enjoyed reading. Part 1 has included Chapter 1, Preparing for the Dragons. Chapter 2, Dragons, Guides, Teachers and Guardians. Chapter 3, Dragon as Healers. Chapter 4, Dragons and the Chakras. Chapter 5, Dragons and Colour. Chapter 6, Conversations with the Dragons, and Chapter 7, The Grand Masters. So in the first part of this book, you're being introduced to working with the dragons, connecting with their energy, and figuring out who your dragon guardians are, and teachers, guides and dragon masters. So you're being introduced to some dragon masters, and then you're getting some basic information about dragons. So you will prepare your body and your energy for working with dragons. You will meet your dragons. You'll go through healing with the dragons, and then you will work with dragons and your chakras. Now that chapter was probably the only chapter that taught me something new. Now please bear in mind, guys, that I've been a practicing witch for 33 years, and I have been a draconic practitioner for 20 years. So that's a really long time. And there's probably not a lot of new information out on the market for me in particular, due to how long I've been practicing with dragons. Now, this bit actually was quite interesting. So we all tend to work with our chakras, the medrans of the body, channel energy through our body, figuring out how to shift and move energy within ourselves. Or at least you should be doing that as a practitioner. Now in this, we talk about the chakras and the colours and their vibrations, the directions they usually spin in, and how to kind of play around with your chakras. Now, when you bring dragons into the mix, this author talks about how your chakras actually change colour, that they shift in vibration, and they change the direction that they spin in, and they can either go faster or slower depending on the dragons that you're connecting with. That was all fascinating, interesting information. Now, when I worked through that chapter personally, I didn't get the colours that she recommended you were going to get. I actually ended up with completely different colours, and I think that's because I've been doing this for a really long time and I know my dragons really well inside and out. And I think based on their energies, how long I've worked with them, the reason I got different colours, different vibrations, is just because of that level of experience and connection with those dragons. If you are new to the path and you're connecting with your dragons for the first time, I honestly think you will probably get what she describes in that chapter, the colours that she says you should see, the vibrations you should be experiencing, and the direction the chakras are spinning in. I do think you will get all of that based on your first experiences, but over time, don't be alarmed if those things change. And if you have been a practicing witch for a long time and you've already connected with dragons, don't be surprised if you are actually getting something different in that chapter, because that's completely fine. I don't think it's anything to be worried about. Then dragons and the colours. So this is more about what kind of dragon you're connecting to based on the colour that it is showing you. So if you are, for example, getting a white dragon, chances are it's probably a dragon of light. If you're getting a black dragon coming through, it could be a shadow dragon, chaos dragon, or a dark dragon, which dark dragons are the opposite to light dragons. It's nothing to do with evil, it's just the energy. You might get a copper dragon, which actually might connect to the metal copper. If you're getting a dragon coming through that's greens, dingy, muddy browns to actual brown, it's probably an earth dragon. If you are getting a dragon that is in, beautiful shades of aquamarines, sea greens, blues, it's most likely a water dragon. So she kind of just walks you through that and talks to you about their energies, their potential powers and abilities, and magical correspondences. Then Conversations with Dragons was a really, really nice chapter. That was just insights that the dragons had given to her that she was allowed to share with you as the reader. And then the Grandmasters, this was a list of Grandmasters that she felt are relevant to your journey that you might like to connect to. And then we get to part 2. So in part 2, we have chapter 8, Dragons of the Land, chapter 9, Moon Phases and the Dragons, chapter 10, Dragons and Walking the Wheel of the Year, 8 Festivals and the 4 Directions, chapter 11, Mary Magdalene and the Sapphire Ray Dragons, chapter 12, Galactic Dragons, chapter 13, Light Body and the Macabre, and I think I'm saying that correctly, and then chapter 14, The Matrix and the Light Grids, and then closing thoughts and some acknowledgements. So with this section, you're supposed to be becoming a spiritual warrior of Earth. Actually, all of the connection work you've done with your dragons, you're putting it now into practice and actually utilising it to become this Earth warrior. Now, a lot of the information for me here was pretty basic, and I don't consider it to be advanced stuff like she claims in the book. The Dragons of the Land was connecting to sacred dragons that guard and protect sacred sites. So we're talking Stonehenge, Wishing Wells, the Chalice Wall Gardens in Glastonbury, the, pyramids, temples around the world, ancient ruins, that kind of stuff. That was interesting. but not new information. Moon phases and moon dragons, again, not new information. Moon phases is in every single witchcraft book you read. And then just connecting with the types of dragons that rule over the moon. Again, very basic information that you can get in any dragon book. Dragons and walking the wheel of the year. So here we talk about the Celtic wheel of the year, the 8 festivals, the 4 directions. Again, the most interesting bit about that, even though it was basic information, was how the dragons change and shift seasonally with the wheel of the year. So going through the different types of dragons that come out to play at certain points of the year, that was interesting. Slightly new information. It's kind of like she took old information but put a new spin on it. That's kind of what I felt there. But let's face it, the 8 festivals, the Sabbats, the Esbats, the moon phases, and things like the directions, 4 winds, all of that stuff is things you can find in any witchcraft book. It's not new information. Chapter 11 with Mary Magdalene and the Sapphire Ray Dragons, that was a little bit unexpected, and I wondered why she got a chapter all to herself, if I'm honest. I kind of thought that if you're going to include a chapter about a specific spirit, being, deity, why not just make it about gods and goddesses and spirits you can connect to for dragon magic and allow the reader to choose the one they want to connect to themselves if they feel drawn to one. So I don't really feel like that chapter was needed in this book. I think it should have been more adaptable and have way more different types of gods and goddesses and spirits and saints for you to connect to in it rather than just one. Galactic dragons and, Matrix, the light grid, we're starting to touch on new age stuff here, which was nice. I enjoyed the chapters, but ultimately, again, not really advanced stuff. It's new age stuff. So that's what you can expect from this book, guys. Now, I'll just give you a quick flip through so you can see what you're going to get. So there's a talk about dragon clans. There is some lovely artwork in the book as you go through it. There's lots of meditations, visualizations. I mean, if you're someone that really enjoys meditating, then this book is definitely for you. There's lots of tips and techniques as well. There's energy cleansing, there is communicating with your dragons, connecting with your guardians. There is 1 ceremony in this book. There are lots and lots of little tips from the dragons. So here we have one. So for this chapter, it says, your dragon teacher and dragon guide can be the same dragon. It doesn't necessarily have to be 2 dragons. Remember that dragons can and do step back from us from time to time, especially if we need to deal with our physical 3-dimensional world. You can ask your dragons for guidance and support at any point. And then there is Dragon Talk, which Dragon Talk I really enjoyed. This was literally just bits and pieces of information that the dragons were giving to her that she chose to put in the book. And I really enjoyed those. They were quite fun to read. The book is quite whimsical. It is very Wiccan and New Age beginner friendly stuff. The book isn't advanced and isn't complicated, and I think anyone can pick this up and enjoy it. So there you go, guys. So this is kind of like what to expect in the book. Now, what did I personally like about this book? The book is an excellent beginner-friendly dragon book. Easy to work through with a clear understanding of who and what the dragons are and how they play a role within the universe and within our lives to help guide us. The book contains plenty of meditations, visualizations, spiritual tips, chants, ceremonies, and basic invocations. It covers topics like chakras, the Celtic Wheel of the Year. It's a light introduction to dragons and witchcraft, but it's not a thorough introduction, and it isn't going to take your craft and practice to the deep levels of insight, but it is a great starting point, especially if you are a beginner witch or even a beginner to intermediate witch, but you've never worked with dragons before. This is just that fantastic all-round introduction book to working with dragons. The book covers a lot of different topics. So we have the seasons, the elements, the chakras, healing, moon phases, guardian dragons and dragon masters. It touches on the matrix and the light grid, as well as celestial and galactic dragons. It's a very good introduction book to get you started on your dragon magic path. It's simple and easy to use. It's not overly too complicated at all. And I honestly think anyone can pick this up, read it and enjoy it. The book is written in an extremely friendly way. I really liked Caroline Mitchell's writing style. I do think she's a fantastic writer and I would be happy to read more of her work. The book is approachable, it's friendly, but it is definitely a book that has that Wiccan New Age spiritual vibe to it. So if you are a Wiccan witch, you will love this. If you are, pagan, I think you will like this. If you are somebody that's into New Age spirituality, yoga, crystals, things like that, meditation, you will definitely like this book. If you don't like those things, this book might be hard to swallow and get through, and you might get a little bit bored if I'm honest. But for those of you out there that love that sort of stuff, this is the book for you. Negatives. The book doesn't contain any spells, rituals, or magic to practice as a witch. The closest thing in this book to witchcraft is the singular ceremony provided. Due to how basic and simple this book is, it isn't suitable at all for an advanced practitioner or occultist. And I honestly think that advanced practitioners would get quite bored with this book. They might enjoy the writing style and, the whimsical kind of feel to it, but ultimately it's not going to teach you anything new. And if you're looking for something to really deep dive into dragon magic, this probably isn't it, which brings me to my next negative. If you are looking for a deep book on dragon magic and you are already a draconic practitioner and you've been working with dragons for a while now, this book won't have anything new to offer you. If you're looking for a book that goes into rituals and spells and astral projection and shape-shifting with dragons and going over the hedge and going on mystical journeys with them, tapping into that draconic current and taking it to the next level with ritual, this really isn't the book for you, and it isn't going to do that for you. The way that this book is written makes it feel very simple, very sweet, but also like it's marketed towards a teenager or quite a young practitioner, somebody very, very new to the craft. It's certainly not marketed or aimed for a experienced, serious practitioner who's been practicing for a long time. It's almost a little too light and love. And although it's a fun, enjoyable read, and I highly recommend the book for a beginner, it's just not what I would call a serious witchcraft book. Having said all of that, I will be keeping it and it will remain in my magical library. I've scored the book 5 out of 10, which I think is a fair score. Like I said, enjoyed Caroline Mitchell's writing style and everything she had to say in this book, but it really didn't teach me personally anything new. But if you are new to dragon magic, this very well could be the book to get you started on that path. But please seek out more information and knowledge. Don't take this as like your Bible on dragon magic, because it really doesn't have a lot of actual dragon magic in it. It's just about connecting to them, introducing yourself to dragons, and sort of learning to recognize that draconic energy and connect with it. That being said, like I said, I did enjoy the book, so I will be keeping it. And that concludes my book review. So I really hope that you've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed my book review, please give me a thumbs up, click the bell, and YouTube will tell you when my next video comes out. If you'd like to offer light, love, and support to my channel, you can do that through my Amazon wishlist or my PayPal link. Both are provided. If you'd like to get in touch with me for any of my magical services, or just to ask me a few questions or some advice, you can do that through Facebook, Instagram, X, Tumblr, and via email, and all of the links are provided, guys. Thank you so much for watching to the end. I do appreciate your support. As always, take care of yourselves and take care of each other, and may the gods bless you, and of course may the dragons bless you as well. Blessed be.